If you're a beginner to watercolor painting, there's a high likelihood you're struggling with colors. Like, how do I know what color to use? So in this video, I'm going to show you 3 levels of color use, where 1 is the most basic. Many people get stuck in it. 2 is a little better. 3 is much better. There is a level 4, but we'll keep that for another time probably. So we'll get started with level number 1, where most people get stuck in, and that is, and I'm gonna actually, ironically enough, have to clean my palette for this just a bit. So here's our cucumber, right? Let's assume I'm doing a good job on the values here. So we have this part that's quite light, right? So I'm just pouring in a bit of water, and then for the parts surrounding it, let's get this a little darker, right? Gradually, a little darker. Now I know it's not the same green, but bear with me, okay? There's a reason I'm doing it this way. Now let's say I'm pretty good with the flow. So I'm gonna continue my wash to the cucumber on the right. And I'm gonna just continue doing the same thing. The green I'm using, if anyone is interested, is Undersea Green by Daniel Smith. It's not sap green, it's undersea green, okay? And I'm gonna continue with this green here. And you know what? I mean, that looks pretty good. And then as we move down, it gets darker. So let's start establishing that. Even here, you can see a bit of that, right? Now, it's not that it looks bad, but this is just one green. So what you get is essentially a transition from a light version of that one green all the way to a very dark version of that green, right? That's all we pretty much have here. Again, it's not a sin. It's not something wrong, but if you look at your paintings, the ones you don't like as much, I would bet you've been doing something similar when you shouldn't. And that's the key, when you shouldn't. There is a place to paint this way. This is it, pretty much. We can start getting into more details. Doesn't matter as much. This is level number 1. Level number 2 is, instead of using a green, let's use the 2 colors that compose it. Okay, so I don't really have 2 colors that compose undersea green, so we're just gonna use French ultramarine and lemon yellow. Okay, so, and here's the kicker. I don't even care if I use them in the right spots. Okay, so I'm gonna start here. So this is light, right? So you'd assume, let's start with a yellow. Let's actually start with a blue. Let's go against our best judgment, just to pretend that this is an experiment, because this is still level number 2. And what happens in level number 2 is you start opening up to the idea of organically mixing your colors, which often leads to better mixes that are more interesting and gives you more freedom. And that's the big part here. You have more freedom to establish the exact color you want. And even if your colors aren't that accurate, let's start with a yellow here on the other one. We learned from our experience. Even if your colors aren't accurate per se, they have more depth to them, okay? They have more depth. They tend to be a little more interesting. Things tend to feel a little more organic. So this is level 2 out of 3. So many people also get stuck on this level, and you'll see why in a second, right? So let's be bold here. I'm gonna give I'm not gonna strawman this. We're gonna do the best job we can on level number 2, okay? Just to show you how my argument works. And on the other side, let's mix them on the palette. This time, just get a bit of a darker color going on. There's a limit to how dark you can actually go with just the lemon yellow there, kind of taking away some of the value possibilities, but that's fine. And this would be level number 2, right? There's the stamps too, you can add those, it doesn't really matter. This would be level number 2. What this allows you is to go from one color all the way to another color, and all the variants in between. So not just how light or dark you paint, but also how blue and how yellow it is. Level number 3. And the reason I'm making this video for you is because people tend to overcomplicate this to oblivion, right? What color should I use? How do I get the color harmony right? People struggle with these things so badly when they shouldn't, okay? So, and by the way, this is a good point to tell you, if you want to have better freedom in your art, check out the frustration-free watercolor course, link in the description box below. It will solve all your freedom problems with watercolor. So let's look at level number 3. Now, can you guess what level number 3 is going to be? We have just the green, pre-mixed. We have a yellow and a blue. Now, what's missing here? What's the missing piece to tell the full story? We have a blue, we have a yellow. How about we add the red? So this is the unexpected level. Let me show you. I'm going to start like I have been starting so far, just pre-wetting and then adding. Let's start with this kind of a middle of the road color, a bit of yellow, a bit of blue. But see, what's going to happen if at this point I'm going to start introducing a bit of red in there. And it doesn't even have to be red, it can be brown, because brown is just a neutralized red. But let's go with a red here. Just add a red to the mix. Now, check this out. What this red does is not only it adds another color, it starts telling another story. And what is that story that this red is telling? That red is telling the story of how saturated the color is. Because when you have two colors, when you have blue and yellow, you can get pretty much a blue, a yellow, and a green. And the green is pretty much as saturated as they come, because we are only using the two colors to mix it. But what is the complementary color to green on the other side of the color wheel? That would be a red. So when we add a red, we're adding a completely new dimension to our paintings. We're adding a completely new level of interest and fascination. And why is that? Because we're starting to neutralize. We're starting to gray things out. We're starting to add something that wasn't there up to this point. In fact, when you have all three primary colors, you could mix a nice looking violet too with the blue and the red, right? You're not bound to just the green that we've had earlier. And what this does is it starts to tell the story of light. And this is the key part, because light is what I believe many of us are trying to express with our watercolors. And when you want to express light, you have to take into consideration all of the environment of your scene. So you have to take into consideration this cucumber, right? This imaginary cucumber, and this little coffee glass next to it that changes the way it looks. If you look at my desk here, it will change the way it looks. And you have to take into consideration the light from the window, changing this color. To do this, you have to use all the possible colors out there. Now, you don't have to, right? There are design elements. There is simplification for simplification's sake. There is the more illustrative look. There's the more abstract look. You can do whatever you want. But one thing to have in mind is if you want the full range of possibilities, if you want to express it all, that third color really does the job. And so many people are getting stuck. I think some get stuck here on level number 1, but so many people get stuck on level number 2. And when you look at your paintings and your own colors, if they look amateurish color-wise, if the sky is a boring French ultramarine and the ground is a boring pre-mixed green, if that happens to you, if you look at the colors and they look bad, especially, by the way, if you take your painting, take a photo, turn it black and white, and it looks kind of good. If it looks kind of good, that means you're hitting the values right. But the colors, if the colors are basically sabotaging your results, that third color and letting them mix organically without one specific color standing out too much, unless done mindfully and with consideration of the overall vision and composition and values, unless done in that way, it will often take away from your painting. So if that's the missing piece, that's what you want to do. Now, if you look at your own paintings, I maybe have helped you right now to recognize the thing that fails them. And it could be a recurring mistake. You fix this one thing, your paintings go to the next level, right? But there are hundreds of these things, right? So if you want my personal assistance with your paintings, right? You want to send me your paintings and I give you feedback. And I've been doing this for years for free, but kind of on and off, kind of quickly with a couple of sentences. If you want an actual 30-minute video of me telling you exactly what I see with your paintings, check it out. I'm going to put a link below to critiques. Okay, you send me up to 3 paintings, you get a critique, and I tell you exactly what I'm seeing. This kind of top-level insight that, you know, just one note can change the trajectory of your painting journey, can get you to paint something that's way more professional, something that sells, something that you can exhibit, something that people are interested in, something you, most importantly, will be proud to tell, it's my painting. I painted it my way. This is me. That's, I think, the most important part people are after. Check it out. I'm going to put a link below. If you're brave, there is a 5 bundle. So you can get a bundle of 5 of these for a discounted price. We do these in parts. You send it to me, whatever, on a weekly, monthly basis, whenever you feel like it. Okay, this is very open communication. I hope you'll give it a try. If you're just looking for something basic for beginners, the frustration-free watercolor course, which I have mentioned earlier, will get you that. Will get you that looseness, that freedom. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know in a comment down below, what's your biggest takeaway from this video? I would be curious to hear. And I will see you in the next one. Take care.